Hey everybody! I just read you guys up there. Yes, I had no image on the screen today, so welcome everybody. Welcome, David Becker here with BeckerArt, and we're here to do our Thursday night free paint-alongs. And I have gotten some moans and groans on this picture this week, but it's going to be a good one. It's a still life, but it's a big still life. It's a big area still life, and so we're gonna have fun with this one. I didn't do a great job in this afternoon, but I'll show you that in a second. But we're gonna play around. This is a still life, and actually, one of our viewers here is the one who suggested this one. Tabassum, I mean, he had brought this up to me, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm going to change things around a little bit this time, and so you'll see I changed things around a lot. Actually, not a real lot, but enough to show you how to make it a little bit better than what the image was. The image was a little bit, a lot of stuff, but yeah, in the scene, it had the dots on the front when you looked at it, because I think when I put the image on there, it was too large an image, and so I didn't realize that it wasn't showing anything. And asked if anybody got the. I hope you guys got the Legion paper supplies. Everybody who asked for them. I know they sent them out last week or a couple weeks ago, but I hope you got those. And John Pike, the ones you guys did last week. Oh, super awesome, super awesome. Well, today the beer. I was up in Wisconsin this morning, and right across the border, the only place you can get New Glarus beer is in Wisconsin, and so this is a Wisconsin Belgian Red, and so we're gonna try this one today. I just was at the one gas station where prices are a little cheaper than the rest in Illinois, because Illinois gas prices are just crazy right now, and so it was like 30 cents cheaper if I went up there to Wisconsin. And since I had to drop my mom off at she had a little thing going on, but so I got some of this. So of course I put it too much. So let me just get over to here. We'll taste that in a little bit. And welcome everybody. Hey Barry. Hey Ann. Hey Maura, Lynn, Sue, and a couple of you guys. The John Pike stuff, wasn't that great? So do some more John Pike stuff. John Pike was one of the best, so just keep on going with that. So let's go really quickly. I still haven't fixed my website thing, so I have to put this up there. It's not movable. For some reason I cannot go to my website on this thing I'm using. But here's the address for anybody who is new. Most of you guys have been here before, but this is for all the newcomers. If there's any newcomers, my supplies, of course, are Holbein, and there are all my brushes, and you can get my brushes online. And let's go right to our value study. I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing. So what I did is this afternoon I did this, and let me go back to my front. Hold on. So let me go back first to this. So here's what I did this afternoon, and so as you can see it. So this is what I did this afternoon, and if you see, I changed a few things. Like I made a brick wall. I made it a storefront type of thing, and not enough value study. The value study, it was terrible that I did, and so everything is light, everything is important, there's no lost edges. What was I teaching myself the last couple of weeks, right? And so let me just show you what I did this afternoon. So I went into Photoshop and I did a little bit of, I put a filter onto this scene right here. And so as you can see, what I had done before, I made this background here, because I don't know what this is right here. It's a green wall or a green door, or this is probably in front of some kind of shop or something. So instead I made this a brick wall, but I didn't keep the right values that I had wanted. So I simplified everything with this filter in Photoshop. So what I decided to do is make everything dark except for the bike, a little bit of the back of the wall back here, like the sun is hitting here. And then I thought this was a chair right here, and so I made that a chair at first, but then I realized that's just a pillar in the back there. This is like a corner. This is a corner shop and stuff, and this is a bike. And then I also put flowers in here instead of what was in there, just because everything was pointing to the very center of the painting. And so I wanted to block that off so they didn't look like two separate paintings, which one of my students had brought up to me. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to make it like this. I'll show you in a second here. Let's go to our tabletop. And hey, Tabassum, I'm here. We're doing your thing. We retracted some of your words. Thanks for suggesting this. But I said, what I did was I put the background here, and you can see up here. I didn't keep the darks. Didn't keep it dark enough. And down here, I kept it okay, but there's lights all over, and everything is more important than something else. And what I did in the image up here was I started blurring stuff. Like this is a window, and this is basically a still life, and so you still have to get a center of interest. And right now, this afternoon, my center of interest is all over the place. I mean, yes, the bike is probably this area is the most important, but there's so much other stuff that just seems just as important, and it doesn't have a good feel. It seems messy, and so what I'm going to try to do is make the darks and follow value pattern. Make this all dark up here, even this in here. So I have light up here, I have light up here, and it's okay to have the light up here, but see how it dark goes through in the value study? This is the value study right there. I brought this instead of the other time, and so you see this is dark like I have in the value study, but the top of this suitcase is not very dark, and I want to punch out the flowers which I put in from that, and so we'll see how it goes. All right, if any questions, just again put them up there, and I will I'll see what we can do. All right. Hey, Tabassum. Thanks again for suggesting this image. It's really great. Hi, David. We are expecting high winds and rains in Alabama. Uh-oh. Well, we got yesterday. It was 57 degrees here in Illinois, and then last night it went down to about 27, and today it was all about 27 and minus, and so now we have snowstorm, and so everything melted yesterday, and now it's all coming back, or some of it. So we're going to get about an inch. All right, so let's go right into this. And again, with anything we do, we always start light to dark. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start light to dark. And since there are not a lot of lights in this piece, it's going to be the bike. And in this image here, I kept the bike white. So that's the white of the paper. I didn't do anything. I just painted around the bike. And again, this is a lot of pieces all over the place. And I felt like I didn't get a good composition in here. Light and dark pattern. The pattern is just all over the place. It's not even a pattern. It's just a lot of images all over. So let's lose some edges. I mean, that's what I've been talking about all the last 3 weeks, is about losing edges. And I hardly lost any edges here. I didn't do it in here, and I lost back here. And this was a mistake, because I scrubbed this out because I thought this was a chair. And so I made that a chair when it was really just the background pillar back there. So let's just go right ahead and get these lights in there. Get our colors in there for the bike and the brick wall. Now, I do like some of the colors that were in the photograph that you see up here, right there, the colors. I don't mind those. If you want to follow those are great. I love turquoise. Turquoise and an orange kind of thing could be good. I did make this a brick wall back there, and I brought it together so that this thing and this really looked like the front of the building. Because right there, it kind of cut that paper in half, and so I'm trying to avoid that. So let's just go right away and... Oh, the beer. I gotta taste the beer. So again, New Glarus beer. New Glarus from Wisconsin. You can only get it in Wisconsin, I think. Oh, wow, that's sweet. It's actually sweet. It's a cherry. That's a red New Glarus cherry, and it's very sweet. I'm gonna give it a 10 because I like sweet beers. And this is very good. It's very good. It's a good summer drink. Good summer, a hot summer day. Of course, it's not a hot summer day. It's a snowstorming outside. The brick wall doesn't really work. We're gonna try to make it work. We'll see what it does. I'm gonna make it light, and I'm not gonna make it like I did in this one. This one I don't like. That's too much of remember I was saying losing edges, so I don't like that brick wall. I'm definitely not going to do this like this. I gave too much attention to each little line in there, and so definitely not going to do this on this one. So we're going to try to keep it down. And actually, you saying that, I am going to kind of erase the lines a little bit. So it is still going to be a wall, but not a super paying attention to the brick wall type of thing. Because then there's too much. It's like everything. There's too much stuff in there. The brick wall, the suitcase, the bike, the thing. I mean, it's just too much. So we're going to just make it a single color, not worry so much about the brick wall itself. And I will make it parts really dark, though. And I will make this and this the same colors so that it matches. So I'm just going to go right in here, and I'm going to use some turquoise. And so And then right with the turquoise, I'm gonna, like you know me, I don't put one color down and then leave it one color. Put a little orange in there. And again, going around the light of the bike because the bike is just basically light. I know it's weird to just go in there with, not the colors that you see on the photograph. I've never been one of those artists that copy the photograph to a T where I want to copy the exact color. You go right ahead, but I would suggest that you kind of follow a value study more like this, what I've got going, that I did to this image, and put something in the middle here so it blocks away all those lines heading right to the center of the painting. That just didn't work. It made the painting look like two separate paintings, and so I overlapped these flowers over the bike and over to the thing so that it would not have such a separate thing where the bike is separate from this side. Everything was right down the middle, right down the half. What I should have done is maybe even brought the window over more or over this way a little bit more so it's not right down the center. But I think I broke it up okay with the flowers being in there and overlapping, and so that's what I did. So here again, lights. Oh, yep, I did that in. I washed it out. All right, so there we go. We're just going to go, and these are not my darkest darks yet. I can put some, well, why not put some of those in there right away? What the heck? Because I want soft edges, so I'm just going to go down here. And I'm actually, no, I can't do that because you got your lights first. So the light color of this little bench right here in front, I need that first. You can't do darks first because you got to go around your lights. And so I'm going to put like a little bit of a yellow. Let's do a little bit of purple down here. Gray, like this is a gray background. I'm going to keep this light. I'm going to try to keep this kind of light. And I can keep this light even though it is part of the light area and the bike is lighter because the bike is going to be the white of the paper. So anything light or darker than the light of paper will be fine to identify the shape of the bike, right? I mean, if it's white and you're using a white paper, then anything you put on there will be darker than the light of the paper. And let's go do our flowers right away. Go right into this area. The flowers, boy, I really haven't picked a orange, and let's go orange and, or purple and yellow. So let's make like a yellow flower, yellowish orange flower. Or should it be white? It probably should be white with, because I have a white bike, and that'll be kind of, some of the flowers can be white too. That's what I'll do. That's a good idea. So then that'll kind of match to that, but still have a few of them in there that may be pink, orange, salmon color around the edges. Maybe the centers of the white flowers can be salmon. There we go. That's a good idea. So just making a real light. And the trim of the window, I'm keeping white down here again. And over here, I'll keep it white. I will get, again, like I said, I'm getting the colors of the lights. Like this pillar back here, this purse or whatever these bags are, these over-the-shoulder bags, I'm just going to go right through them because they're going to be darker than whatever's behind them. So here I'm going to do the pillar now. Just get some color in there for the pillar. And since I used blue over there, I might as well use a little blue over here. A little gray. A little grayish blue. And then come down here, make it light. Could the first painting be rescued by putting a dark transparent glaze over where you want to tone down values? Yes, I think it could be. I'd have to probably rub out a little bit here. And this is Mill's question. So she was asking if I could make this the value patterns. Yes, I could probably put it darker over this, get rid of this ugly orange back there because it's too bright an orange for one. It's coming forward and taking too much of my attention into this area. So if you put your hand over there, look at it. It's like, it's just too much. It doesn't have a good feel. I didn't have any soft edges. I need soft edges. We've been talking about that for weeks now. And here I didn't do any soft edges this afternoon. So who knows? Even I don't listen to myself sometimes. So we're going to put the lights in here. Sometimes you're just painting away and you forget about things that you... And I did that twice already this week. I did an oil painting, and I'll show you in a second, where I'm trying to learn how to do the oils, and I just was looking at texture, and I wasn't, again, it's so important to keep your value pattern. Keep your value pattern, because that's what makes the lights and darks work. If there's too much stuff all over there and not enough soft edges where things are bleeding away, then everything looks the same. Everything has the same importance. And so you'll see when I get this done how much better this one's going to be, because I'm really going to follow the values. Now the book's back here, or whatever's on the shelf back here, I put some color in there. And that's just going to be where I then later on don't. And I actually put some flowers in the basket here too. I'm thinking that that maybe help out a little bit, just so that there's not just flowers there, but maybe over here too, a few. And again, if you want to do it just like the photograph, you can go ahead. Just watch out that you don't get that center line. Just it's most important is not to get that center line. It's not a bad photograph at all, but just when you paint it, and if you don't have these flowers in here, if you don't have something in there, it just really looks like it's cut in half, that painting. Dark blue flowers. That's I'm not sure if I'm going to use blue in this tabassum. Let me just see. I'm going to see if that works. So I'm just putting the lights in now, and the light colors of like these leather bags that are hanging there. I'll put a couple little bit, like you can get some lights in there, you know, but they're pretty much going to be dark, nice and dark, and so I'm going to put a little bit of that. Inside here is going to be really dark compared to what I have with the last one, because the last one, again, it didn't follow the values. And if I have a really bright color in there, then my eye goes right to that one as long as with everything else. You know, it's just too much for your eye to see. You need some places that are soft edge. You need some places that are for your eye to rest. You know, so that everything has the same contrast. I think I would have learned that with Pike's thing last week. I mean, Pike, what amazing. If you looked at more of others' paintings, they're just phenomenal. They're just really, really beautiful, the guy's work. And you guys did another great job. Thanks again for doing that and posting them. Man, it's so neat to see you guys doing some great work. It's the reason I teach, is so that you guys get better. I mean, it's the only reason I do it. I love it. I love when you guys get better. All right, that's pretty much my lights, right? There's not much other lights in there. So I'm going to put a little flowers in here. I'm keeping this kind of pastel-like, because I want the darks to really punch. I really want the darks to punch really, really good this time. And so let's go right into my darks. That's my lights. And so I'm going to take my little bit round brush now, and I'm just going to go in and establish a darkest dark. So let me just establish a really dark dark. I'm going to keep it up in this corner just to see. And if I use a lot of pigment, like in my video this week of my newsletter, and so what I'm doing here is I'm going to put a lot of pigment in here so it stops right at this post, and this is going to be a soft edge because it's still wet, which I want. I want it to be a soft edge, and when I put something in there, that doesn't mean that's not just going to be the only color that I start with. Then I wet it and I go down and I just keep on going down, and then I'm going to throw other colors in there afterwards. I always do that. I'm always putting other colors in there, because there's not just one color in the scene. Unless you're using a limited palette where you're using every color that you want, that like if you chose 3 colors, then that's another story. But here I'm using all the colors. Though I'm not using a bright blue probably. I'm using more of a yellow, purple. Orange, a little bit of orange, so I may use the turquoise more blue instead of the bright blue, like an ultramarine. I'm going to use more of a turquoise. Again, going a little bit more pastel with this one. I felt I got too much color in that last one, in the one this afternoon. Soft edges, because that was still wet, right? So I'm getting some soft edges here. It was dry. You can see a little dry, hard edge. And so I'm kind of coming down here. Put this in here like this, and what we got here, and it goes from a light. Actually, there's some lights back here, so I'm going to rub that out a little bit. And it goes really dark here again, comes around the side, and I want to lose the edge. Again, losing edges so important. Lose some edges. You want everything to be so perfectly harsh and hard edged. If you do the hard edges, you got to make sure you get the right value down there. Like John Pike, he didn't do many soft edges, but the ones that he did hard and but looked soft, that's because there wasn't much contrast in those those washes. I'll just put this is not my darkest dark yet. Now let's do the window real quick, and this will be perfect timing. And so when I did the window on this one, I actually liked what I did there. It's kind of like really dark, and I just lost some edges, and it's just something on the shelf. I don't know what that is, And I use some of the colors that are more muted to leave it back there. I didn't put a glaze over it to make it look like it was shiny, the glass. I could maybe do that, but I don't think I needed it because the bike was really standing out. And that's all I wanted to make sure that the bike stands out. The bike's got to stand out. So here we go. We're just getting in there with all kinds of dark colors. I started out with purple, put a little blue in there. This is wet still a little bit, so it's a little damp, but that's okay. That's fine because I want some soft edges. I would make it anyways, that color. Put a little red in there. A little violet. I'm gonna go cut around this mirror of the bike. There's a little mirror right here. I know there's like a shelf right there. Just keep on working it nice and dark, throw darks. And I didn't wet it first. I'm wetting as I go along because I can't wet all around there, and by the time I get there it's gonna be dry. But if I just work it from this side to that side, now I probably shouldn't work up back and forth, but oh well, I did it. And so here we go real quickly, go around here, crap that in. Here's the brake of the bike, there's the handlebar. Here we go over this, oh, that's part of the basket. So I gotta watch that. So I'm putting just the dark in there that's pretty wet. Now I'm gonna rinse my brush off and now pick up some colors. Pick up some colors that I use down here that we're reflecting into the scene. Remember, once it's wet, you can float some pigment in there. Don't be afraid then to, I've been teaching you how to do soft edges, and now's the time to create shapes. And that's by using a lot of paint. You know, you wanna use a lot of paint, get in there and create some shapes. That's why I've been teaching you how to do soft edges and to create shapes and use enough paint so that you can go in there and make those shapes look soft, but still make them look like something, like they're a shape of something. Here I'm going around this. You know, learn to work in a wet wash and make sure you get those nice edges, nice soft edges. And it'll look blurred. It'll look beautiful. Here, there's like books or something back there. And this is part of the basket. And put some flowers in there, and then I don't know what this is over there. And I mean, you can't tell in the picture what that stuff is anyway, so why try to know what's it that is? It's just a bunch of shapes, rectangular shapes. So what do you paint? Rectangular shapes. Simple as that. You don't have to know what it is that you're painting sometimes, because you just know that's not important. Just make it a shape. And make it a soft edged, make it so it's nice and soft. Go down here. Make sure that you use a lot of the same colors in here so it does look like it's all kind of related. If you go off the wall and do something totally different in color in there, then you get too much attention to that spot. Here I'll go around this little light in the front. I put a little like a headlamp on this bike. I'm not sure if that's what it was in there, but sometimes if you don't know what it is, you can make it up or blur it. And this way I couldn't blur this because it is the bike, and so it's a little bit more important. And so I'm going to negative paint this, right into the flower, right into the... I'll look up in a second if there's any questions I didn't look up for a little bit. I will do that in a second. Let me just get some more done here. Don't forget, ask questions. You can ask as many as you want. There's never a stupid question. Just ask away. Or if you want to suggest something, I take suggestion very... Oh, look at what happened here. Isn't that nice? The nice soft edges. And just bled in a little bit. Super, super great. I like that. So now, this is all dark too, right? But I do want to have a little bit of an edge there. But I'm going to go right into that part and make that also dark. I need to have that dark this time, because it then focuses me back on the bike, and that's what's important. And so I don't care what this is, if it's bricks or whatever it is. I can make it look suggestion of that later on. I'm just going to go in here, and I made it kind of a little bit blurrier, and I didn't make it the bright red this time. I'm going to use the blue, the turquoise that was there. You know, why not use the turquoise in there? It was kind of a nice color. I didn't mind that color. Here it gets a little bit lighter. On the edge here it gets a little bit lighter, and then there's a nice dark right that's next to that. And so we'll work on that in a second. And so here we'll go down. We're going to negative paint these flowers, the edge of these flowers that I put in. And I don't know what kind of flowers I put in there. I probably should know exactly what kind of flowers so I can make it look a little bit more realistic. But because on this one I just plopped a bunch of colors in there, and have no idea what that flower that is. I just threw them in there. It was kind of a last minute type of thing too. So always know what you're going to be painting. You know, don't leave things to chance. You know, just know what you're going to paint. That's one thing about watercolors. We know what we're painting because we figure it out before we start painting. At least we should. And that's the thing that oil painters and acrylic painters don't do. They don't really plan like we do with the value pattern and the value sketch, and all that things we do before we even paint. So now that's dark, and it's a little bit lighter on the bottom here, which is cool. And this is bleeding in there a little bit, which is perfect because now this stands out. Now I'm getting some, you know, leaving things in the background, leaving things go. Here I'm gonna lose this soft edge on this side. I'm gonna soften this edge, let that bleed right into this little satchel here, or whatever, purse or whatever that is. And then we're gonna do the little. I'm not gonna put super detailed yet, but I do want to lose some edges. I mean, it's so important. And I mean, like I've been teaching that for weeks now, and so here not to do that on this first thing was like, what am I thinking? So here we're gonna lose a nice soft edge there. And make it nice and dark, and just let things bleed in there. It's soft edge. How important is that bag? I mean, it's important, but it's not as important as the bike and this area here. This area right there is your center of interest. The things in front. This is in the back, and so why did I make it so important? I don't know. It just seems like you should. You know, a lot of times when you're doing still lifes, you're painting pieces, and that's one thing I got to get rid of: painting pieces. You're not painting pieces. You're painting a whole scene. And this whole scene is the background, and this is the foreground, and that has to stay that way. You cannot make this so much more important than that, because then it'll just ruin the effect of back and front. As you can see what happened here. And I will, if I have time this after this, we get this one done. I may go back in and see if we can change that a little bit. Paint more together, paint things together. And this goes right into here, right into the dark. And then I'm going to put this right in the dark right here. And again, if you can soften the edges and make lose those edges, that's what it's all about. I've been looking, I found one image I'm going to maybe put in my newsletter, image of this guy. And I may, if I have time, I'll throw it up on here on the screen. Super great photo of a guy just looking at his camera. At his phone, and he's using it to take a picture, and he has so many lost edges. It just is outstanding. It is absolutely outstanding painting. It's just a simple scene too, just of a guy standing there with his camera. I was looking at him like, wow, this is a great composition. And it's just the way he painted it. It's just the way he lost all the edges and made things that are important and things that are not, leave them be. So I'm going to go in here now, and so that's now much darker. This is even a little bit too light yet. I can go in there and get that a little bit darker in a second. I can still go in there and just work it while it's wet. Work it while it's wet. Come down here. Okay, that's good for the top, I think, now. Let's go down to the bottom and start working the bottom. I think it's dry now. I'm going to get this little spot in here. Let's work our way down into the suitcase here, and I'm still gonna make that a darkish color in here, and it's gonna be really dark right underneath the lid. And so I'm going right on there. No mascoid. You don't have to use mascoid on the bike and stuff. You know, when you use mascoid, you're gonna have a really hard edge there, and it's not photographic. You can make it a little bit loose. It's okay to make things a little bit loose and make it so it's not so perfect. If you use mascoid, it's going to be so super lined. It's going to be so perfect. And then when you rub it off, and you may lose the paper. And so sometimes I try to stay away from the masking fluid just because it gives me too much of a perfect line. And it's okay when you need it to be a perfect line. But here it's not that important that it's super perfect. So here now I'm going to go a little bit, float a little color in there. There's a little blue, more of a turquoise I'm using. And I'm going to use it right on the edge here. I have to make it really dark, right? So I'm going to make that really dark. And I like to make that a little bit warm too, so I'll add a little orange in there because it reflects the flowers, which has a little orange right there. And I'll see if I can put, like, to Bassam said, maybe put a little bit, a little blue flowers in there. Or we can wait for later. So here we're going to put the blue in here. Now there's this little thing right here where it comes down into there. So the bottom says, I speak for myself, but as a woman, I see the purses as being very important. Also flowers in the basket of the bike. Yeah, I mean, this is the most important part, really, is the purses are cool. I mean, it's still going to be there. I just don't want that one to come forward into the foreground. So, I mean, you can still make it important and still make it hard edged and stuff, but just still try to keep it back farther than the flowers and the thing in front. You can do that. You can still make them things up there and things in the window even. That can be important, and you can show it what it is. But watch out that you don't lose the dimension. Dimension is so important that you keep that dimension working for you. Otherwise, you'll lose the composition. The composition has to be that's the background and the foreground, and don't lose the value pattern. The value pattern for watercolors, and actually for anybody. Like I was saying, here's an oil painting I just had done. This is an oil painting I did. It's on paper because Legion just put a new paper out that's for oil painting. And I lost the image with my values. This whole foreground and this whole snow was supposed to be much, much darker. And my sun, I put in through in here because I wanted to get that optical, what do you call that? And what happened was it was too far in the corner. I should have put it right around here and bring it down. So there's a couple of problems with it, but it's oil painting, so I can go right over that. So it's no big deal. And I watercolor, you have to be a little bit more careful because you have to get it first and right away. And you can rub out, but you want to make it fresh. And so it's a little bit more important to keep things fresh. Now that is light, but I think it'll be okay. I think it's dark enough that it does look like it's in the values that I have up in the value. I think here is maybe a little bit darker, so maybe a little bit darker right here. And then the side can be a little bit lighter, and that's fine. And inside here can be a little bit darker, so I can go with a nice dark there. And so we get this going down. And I put in this one, I decided to put a planter in there. I'm not sure if I should put a planter in there. What do you guys think? Should I keep a planter in there, or should I just take that out? I'm not sure what I should do with that. So we're going to get in there. What blue are you using? I'm using a peacock and a horizon blue. The peacock blue is a very vibrant blue, but then I dull it down. It dulls down really well with other things I'm using, but I'm just not sure if I should put I was going to put a clay pot, like a terracotta pot in there. And I drew it in like that. So what do? Do I keep it there? Let's go like this, and let me see what I'll do. I'll think about that later about the clay pot, because I'm gonna do the suitcase as a kind of orangey, like the clay pot color. That's the only reason I'm thinking if I do the suitcase of clay orangey, then will that clay pot look kind of stupid? I'm not sure. So I'm wetting it down and gonna put it wet here on the edge. Go around the handle a little bit, because the handle I made a little bit lighter, and it's a pretty dark suitcase. So in this image right here, the value side, it's really dark. So, and that works there. So maybe I have to make it a little bit darker, and then maybe that pot will be okay there. Marianne says she likes the planter. Okay, maybe I'll put that in there. Let's see. Anybody else got an idea? Should I put it in or not put it in? I'm not sure. I have to keep the values, and I think if I put the orange like that, that'll be fine. Make the nice suitcase nice and dark. I did paint around the handle here, but I lost a little bit of this. So better use some of the colors that are up here in there too. So again, make things look the same. They have to, incorporate other things. And so maybe some of this light will, some of the leaves will make little reflections down here and little shadows across there. You know, it'll just bring out also the shadow of the handle and this little thing over here. And later on I can put other details in there, but for now I need the big things. And so that's dark enough there, and then I go around and it goes right into the background here. So now I think I can do this down here with the darks. How much time do we have? Oh, you got plenty of time. Why would a terracotta pot be in a suitcase? I'm not sure. You know how in the storefronts a lot of times they set up all kinds of stuff, you know, and so they just happen to put the planner right into there because they're just setting it up like one of those shops that, you know, has all this stuff all over the place. Good point though. I'm not sure why there's a pot in there. Let's see what happens if I just do orange in there. Just see. Let me just see. Because maybe it's just part of the basket. Maybe it's not that important. Maybe just put a thing there. You won't know what it is. Let's make it so you don't know what it is. And we'll just make something dark down there. And then I can just do the planter and stuff. And so that's what I think I'll do. That way you can't tell what it is. We're just going to make it you can't tell what it is. All right, so staging. There you go. Yep, staging. There's all those storefronts. They always, you know, those furniture stores that have all the staging of all kinds of stuff in there. And so now we're going to go with a dark down here. And look at the legs and stuff are darker than what's down there. So let's just go with a nice, that turquoise again. So I'm taking this peacock blue and just going to go down here and just get my darks. But it'll be, actually the side of this is just, of the bench is even darker too. So I made it light, so I'm going to have to darken that up a little bit. So let's go down nice and dark down here. Make the side of the bench a little bit darker too. And then go over here. I just got to keep on reminding you. You got to keep on reminding yourself, follow the value sketch. The value sketch is the thing. It's important. Let me tell you, look what I did over there. And I didn't follow it. And so it's so important to follow the value study. Because if it works in the value study, you know it's going to work in the painting then. And if you don't do it, you know it's not going to work. It could maybe possibly work, but more times than none, it doesn't. So you gotta follow that value study. And so let's see, this side over here kind of loses itself into the side of the. We'll put a little bit of the wheel here, and we'll just lose this into the area. I made this the fork of the bike dark on this side instead of light, and I thought that worked out pretty cool. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to make the fork or the bike in the back darker and just leave it coming to the front. And lose the edge. Lose the edge. Let's take some of this cherry beer. Wow, that's really good. It's a 10. It's definitely a 10. It's good. A little tart, but okay. It's still not 11. It's not my favorite, but it's a good one. They have a couple of good beers, I think, the New Glarus. So let's put a little color in there. And this is dark, but not super dark yet, because I can put another dark on top of that to make it even darker, because the side of this and the legs are darker, as you can see in the photograph. So we're going to make this dark, but not so dark that it's going to be like black. You know, we're just going to make it nice and rich. Then we go on this side, and we can bring this down. Go around here and watch this. I'm taking that little bit of dark color and I'm going to smooth it out so it's not quite as dark as you think it's going to be. And then just kind of take it into the light area and then wet it so it's all soft edged. I'm going to wet it with a clean brush and just let that bleed in there. Let's see how the fork looks like it's in the back now. And then later on we can also do things with the hard edges stuff with the details. Put a little bit more blue in there. A little bit of purple. I'm just kind of getting the look of the bike, and I know that this is the light area, and that's fine. I still got it. It's still light. I did lose a little bit of this wheel because I went into that area, and oh well. Let's see if we can get a little bit of that out of there. All right, I think we're ready for detail stage because this is pretty much all the big areas now, and we got the values pretty well done. I think I got what I need, what it came for. I got what it came for. Got the darks. Feel like I really pushed the darks where they're supposed to be. I'm putting some of the legs on there, a little bit darker, and they can be soft edged. You know, how important is this area down here? Not really. So I try to get things to be soft edged and give me a shape. You know, and I think the shapes are much better, and I like them for soft edged. Like I lost the side of this suitcase, so that isn't that important that the suitcase has to be separate from everything else? No, I want it to flow together. So that again, this is the areas in front. I'm not going to do Tina asked if I'm going to be doing the cool brick background. I think it was too much. Like Tabasma said, it was like, I think it's too much to have all the bricks back there. And there's so much going on, and then also the lay bricks in there. I could put a hint of a few in there. That'll be okay. I may try that. So remind me of that later. I know, Tina, you're good at reminding me what to do afterward. So let me go in here now to the bike and now do my details. We have time for details. Yes, we have much time. Oh yeah, we got. Now it's detail time. Now it's a dark details, and so I'm gonna go with my smaller brush. And where should I start? Anywhere you want. I'm gonna start over here, and the bike can just work this way. So I'm gonna get my bike. The chrome on a bike has a lot of dark in it, so you just kind of go in there with a gray and tone it down. To get a gray, just mix the stuff you have on your palette. It's gonna be a gray. Let me tell you. Just mix it together. People call that mud. It's not mud. It's a gray. They're so scared when they're mixing. The way to get mud is when you're doing a wash, putting it on, put another wash, put another wash, put another wash. That's how you get mud. Not when you're getting a gray, like in here when I'm mixing. That's a nice gray. You know, it's a beautiful gray. And I can go in there and just put it down, and I can show the handlebar right here. The handlebar has a light side, dark side, a lot of lines in it. And then also the bike itself, it's white, but then it has a shadow. So on the, let's see, which way is the light coming from? It's coming from the top, so it's just below, everything underneath. So basically the shadows are underneath the object. So underneath this part of the bike, underneath this part of the bike, underneath here. So underneath is where your shadows are going to be. Think of it logically. Think of, where's the sun coming from, and then just figure it out. If the light's on top coming down, underneath the handlebar, the grips, it's going to be underneath. The top part of everything will be lit up, except for right here. This is that basket, and so there's going to be probably a little edge right there, and a little bit darker. And I really like this orange here that I have on that bag, and so I got to put that elsewhere. So I'm going to find that orange, and orange is my second favorite color, so of course it's got to go in there, right? So we're going to put some flowers there. Remember I said I'm going to make white flowers, but I can have the centers orange. And you do whatever kind of flower you want. I'm just going to make centers of my flowers orange and the other side white. White meaning that there's probably going to be some lavender, light blues in it, and also greenery. So, and of course I'm not going to make it green. I'm going to make it bluish green because I'm using turquoise, and so this leaves will be more turquoise than green. Because it adds to that. It makes it look like part of the painting. If I'm going to put a super bright green in there, it wouldn't match. It's just not something you want to do. You don't want to use a color all of a sudden that you didn't use anywhere else on the whole paper. So if I made a dark, bright green, like a lime green in there, where do else I have a lime green? And why should I have it there? So use a color that you already used somewhere else. Doesn't matter if it's that way in the picture. You do it because you're the artist, and you can make it a little bit greener, like a bluish tint of green, but keep it in that turquoise color because that's what I'm using for my blue, is a turquoise. And do a little image here. Now I'm going to use the white. I'm just going to go in there and negative paint some of these white flowers around the white flowers, push some back in the background here, let some bleed away into the distance. Here we got the rim of the windowsill. Maybe there's some shadowing from above somewhere. Maybe there's a little shadow going across it. Maybe from the bike there's a shadow going across it. You can also put some hard edge lines in here too, and some darker, definitely darker lines of shadows. And maybe I'll use that orange as a line on the actual in front here. I'm just going to put a little line across there. So it looks like the basket in front has a little line on there. You know, again, you can do whatever you want. You're designing this, so I put a little line on that basket. That way I can put some of the orange in there. And the same thing with this frame right here. This little frame that's inside the suitcase here. I'm just going to put that in there, and then I'm float a little bit of color in there to make it look like there's a picture of the two people on there. A little darker here again. Hint at this. Put the orange in here. You notice I always go for colors I've used. I don't start putting other colors in there. You can't. It's just, again, use the colors that you've been using. And I'm getting darker and darker details. So always the very end thing you do is your small details, your darks, your dark, dark, darks. And I save my darkest darks for the very end so I can go in there and highlight certain things. Or I call them dark highlights because they're like reverse of a highlight, white highlight. They're opposite that. They're like a super, super dark, and you put little hits here and there, and it just pops out that area like a white highlight would on a nose or something. So it's just the opposite when I use the dark, dark highlights. Let's see. No bricks. Okay, looks like dollar bills in the suitcase. What is that? Dollar bills? Where are the dollar bills in the suitcase? I don't see it. In here? Oh, these are dollar bills? That's the flowers. Maybe I didn't do such a good job on the flowers. I have to go a little bit more. Maybe for me, a few more little yellow dots, orange dots, I mean. And once I get in there with my darks, I can create more negative painting of the shapes. Very typical of thrift stores. Vintage Paul. I see the scene as a vintage bike suitcase in front of a resale shop. Oh yeah. Okay, you guys got it. Barbie, no clay pot. Okay, well there's no pot in there. I made it so you can't see a pot. So see how my darks are getting darker and darker. I'm trying to get to my really dark, super darks, but first I gotta get the middle tones and get the grays, because this bike is white, but it's still gonna show you shadows. Still gonna be shadows on there. And then the shadow on the side of this fork. And now for my super details. Super detailed darks. And also I may put some white in there. Let's go and get this little people in here. There's a couple. Look at that, see? Just beautiful. There we go. Put some color in there. You know, those old suitcases, they always had that, like, the old suitcases had the, like, the really shiny material in there, like silky material. And this is a little, where they, you know, the little pocket in there. And then we're going to use some orange, because they're going to have, let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. We're going to put a little glasses, or little bands all around it and stop it from opening up, right? So we're going to put that in there. And here I lost the buckle right there, but that's okay. I can put that in there later here, a little shadow on there. And this handle will be too bright, but let me let that dry and I'll make that a little darker. Now let's get some blues in here. Clean this up a little bit. Because you can clean up your bike even though I didn't use masking fluid. I know masking fluid makes it too crazy, super detailed and sharp. Well, you can still get it sharp. You just have to put the line, you know, put a little line in there and it'll still make it sharp. Sharp enough for what we're doing. Oh, the frame? Oh, I see it. That's a frame with two people in there. All right. And this is a little bit too bright right here. Let me tone this down a little bit. A little bit too bright. Maybe in here too. Because I want the bike to really stand out, but I don't want it to stand out so much that it, like back over here, I may tone it down a little bit so that it pushes back and then we can give it more more of importance up here. That's more important there. But it is fun kind of using the white of the paper a lot, and it's hard for some people to do that using the white of the paper. They feel like they need to cover everything of the paper, but you don't need to. You can have it fun with not getting rid of all the white paper. It's one thing about watercolor that's really cool, that you can keep some of the white of the paper. All right, now where's my small brush? Here we go. Little details now, small details, dark small details. So we're gonna put in here, put little handles. This little handbag is not as important as the other ones, but hey, let's put a little bit in there. This is where I would put all the brick things in there. I could put a few in there, but I don't want to. I think it's a good idea not to put them all in there. It's not that important, and it's too much almost. You can try to put some of them in if you want to. Just watch it that it doesn't take away from the rest of the painting. So super details, all little details, especially in here in the flowers. I'm going to need a lot of details to kind of show a couple of them. Like I want to go around a couple of them and really make it important that you notice a few of the flowers. I mean, this is center of interest, so go ahead and make it important and make it look good. Go in here, soften this edge. Lose some edges again. I'm going around a few of the darks now. It's like to make the white flowers, you don't actually paint them white, you paint the dark around them. That's more important than the actual flower, because the white of the paper will make it look fine. It'll be very bright, but you need the darks around the flower to identify the shape of the flower. Buckled. Use a little white paint on here where I lost it. See, you can even use white paint. Ha 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 ha. See that? Now let's go to black and some purple. Really nice dark bluish black. And get this is part of the bike. Any question? Let's see. We're gonna do the what do they call those? I'm losing spokes. I'm gonna make the spokes nice and dark, and the ones in back here are gonna be lighter. And as they come forward, I'll make the spokes. And you don't have to put them all in, but just a few that overlap. And as you get over here, I make them darker because they're closer, right? Those are, and I don't want to lose that edge, right? I want to lose that edge, so I'm not going to make them go out to that. Otherwise, you create the edge, and I spend enough time trying not to make that edge. So these will be a little bit darker, the spokes. Look at how nice and dark they get. It's just they're gonna pop forward, and they're gonna make everything look great by putting the spokes dark right here. 1/ line. Don't be slow. Just get in there and put them in. Alright, and here we have, I don't want to give this corner too much view, and let's go a little bit darker in some of this flower here. Oh, this is much better than the one I did this afternoon. How much time do I have? Oh, not much. So let's get this in here. Let's go in here, and because I may want to try to do the other one real quickly, see if I can show you how to get that back. And then up here, I need some of that blue. Need some of the greenery. I put a little bit of a wash over. Where's my buzzer? Oh, here. I'm going to put a little wash over. This is a little bit too much here. The white of the bike is just a little bit too comes forward too much. So I'm going to put a little wash over that. Just a little wash over everything. Just give it a little bit of more of a violet maybe. That being in the corner, I don't want that to show off that much. I do like this edge here maybe a little darker. Here. This goes up a little bit. It bleeds it out and doesn't make it look so important. Okay, let's see. This is violet. That's okay. Let's put a little color over this, over the handle. I don't want to stick it out so far. Oh, it's a little bit too orange. I like that. And a couple of little lines for there, because it's not too bad to put a couple of lines in the building to kind of show what's happening. And like this, right here is the edge. Here's an edge. I can put a couple bricks in there just to kind of show a few, but nothing super like important so that it stands out too much. If it stands out too much, it gives it too much attention. But a few lines and a few grout marks is enough to just let you know what that area is. Okay, over here I can maybe do a few there too. Make that dark, nice and dark shadow. Maybe a few here. Okay, just a few. Just it's not that much. It's enough. And this is it's lighter than I would like to have it, but I think it'll be okay. And I thought I was gonna make it darker, but I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it light. I think it doesn't. It's not too bad because the sun seems like it's coming over that, and these are brighter, and it comes forward, and so I think that's good for that. Let me just see. Since that's gonna be pretty much done, I still have a little bit of time. I got 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 4 minutes. What I'm gonna do is the other scene. I want to see to show you the difference, how I can maybe go over it and then make it look better. Let's see, let's put a little thing right here. Okay, so we'll keep that. Oh wait, right here. This has to be a little bit darker. Okay, that's good. A leg right here. Leg right here. All right, so that's that scene. Let me just show you really quickly. If I were to take this now and try to get the values, I can just put a tint over it. The problem could be that the bricks are out of place with the photo. The bricks look like Midwest and Italy. Yeah, you're right. And for that, it's not that bad because there's very little bit right now because you barely see them, right? The bricks are not really there, and so you can just, they're going to wash out anyway, so I don't think they're going to be that much of a distraction as this one. This one really is just not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you really quickly. We got 3 minutes. And I'm going to take a wash and make my darks, get my darks back, because I don't have a distinctive light and dark pattern. So I'm going to go right over this and just take, I took the dirty water I had here, and then maybe a little bit of blue, get rid of some of the orangey color right over this, and just kind of go right over it. And it'll be fine. It's not gonna. Nothing's gonna happen. It's just gonna be right over it, and I'll get my lights back. I'm gonna get my pattern back. You know, which I lost. You know, so I need the pattern back. And this is something you can do at any painting at any time. Watercolor people always say that you can't do things to it. You know, after you get your first. Oh yes, you can. You can do a lot of things to it, as long as you float your pigment and the pigment floats. And as you notice, I just wet it. I didn't scrub it or anything. And I'm just putting the colors in there. I'm letting it float, and it'll go on top of the other colors. It'll go over pretty well, you know. And I can put some lavender violet in there. Just let it make it nice and dark up here. Letting it just kind of, and there's like a sunlight now too. See how I make it a little more sunlight in there. Make it darker in here. It covers the bricks, so we don't have to worry about the bricks anymore. And then down here, we're going to give it a nice darks through here. Remember, I lost the lighting pattern, so making this a little bit darker. Bring this right into here. Negative paint some of this on here. So just by that already, it's starting to look a little bit nicer because I finally got the pattern back. I need to get the pattern back. It's like that's more important than all these objects. I've got to get the pattern, the light pattern in there. Now I'd have to rub this out to get the light, because I need the lights right here. So I'm just going to rub this light and just get my lights back in that area. And then the only thing I have to do, and I only have 1 minute left, is to make this a little bit darker right down here. Bring this over here a little bit dark, and part of this wheel. And look at how already it just pops right back up. Isn't that great? I think. What do you guys think? Is it okay this night now? And get some warms and cools. And look at how that bright, how I still have to maybe put a little bit of definition into those flowers. Like make more of a definition of a couple of the flowers, negative paint them, put a center in them. But now look at how nice that one looks. Just one simple thing by getting rid of the tile, the bricks, I totally agree with you that it probably didn't need those bricks. So there we go. A little warmth in here, a little shadowing coming down. And ta-da, there we go. All right, this should be a little bit darker too, but I don't think I have enough time anymore. So let's make this a little bit darker in here, a little bit more of a shadow. Bring this down, boom. All right, so there we have this afternoon's, and here, let's take the tape off of this one. And we get right at time that we're up. So any last questions, please let me know. Yes, that makes a difference with the wash. Thanks, guys. So this tape. Always pull the tape away. I had somebody rip the paper today that they're pulling straight up, so make sure that you always pull it away. Take it like this and then pull it away from the painting. Not up, away. All right, so there we have this evening's, and there's this afternoon's. And actually, I kind of like this afternoon's better. I think I need a little more darks in here. So now by putting the darks in here, look at how that just suddenly brings it really, the intensity of the light. And so this one, they both had their own little things. This one's a little bit more lighter, but both okay. And both following the pattern. Remember, follow the pattern. All right? Okay, till next week. Time means everything. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week. Not sure what we're painting next week. And like this week, we used some of your pictures. But do make sure that you take them off of like Unsplash or one of those sites where they're illegal to use them. I don't want to use a copyrighted image. So make sure if you are sending me something that you're sending something that is not copywritten. They have to be free of that, so we can all use them. But have fun with this one. See what you guys can do. I mean, you're doing great jobs these last couple of weeks. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week. All right? Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. See you next week.